games is just the risk factor. You're spending like what, 2, 3 years, 4 years? I mean, I know what you're thinking. You're going to spend 6 months on your game tops, and then you're going to release it, sell it for 20 bucks, and you're going to get rich. Well, if you look at history and you look at other people's games, that's just not really how it works out. It takes between 3 to 6 years to make a game by yourself, even if you cut it down to 2 years. 2 years is still a long time. So think about it this way. You're going to be developing your game for 2 years, and during these 2 years, you're not making a single dime. And at the point of release, like, you just have no idea what's going to happen. Even if you gather up wish lists, I've seen numbers that people hope to sell like, what, 50% of their wish list? I mean, look, that's just not going to happen. Like, you'll be happy if you'll be selling 5 to 10% of what your wish lists are. To put 3 years on such a high risk, it's just, it seems a little unreasonable to me. Because let's face it, you're putting 3 years on the line for this very, very short window of release. Because when you release your game, like, your first week is the most important. So if you're unlucky and the world has a huge power outage, nobody buys your game, it gets forgotten about, and then new games are released. Because what? I think in 2019, like what, 8,290 games released on Steam, that makes 22 games a day. Like, if you just by one day, you have 22 new games to compete with. So if anything happens at all during launch and it screws up, then it basically removed 3 years of work. It just seems like pretty much anything else you do is going to be easier to make money. Like, let's say you have a game dev skill. Instead of making a game for 3 years and selling it for $5, you could make a course over the course of 6 weeks on how to make games, and you could charge, what, $25, $50, $100 for that course? Probably. And that's 6 weeks of your time. Pretty much any other endeavor except game dev is going to be safer, more profitable, and faster. So basically, it sounds like it's impossible to make an indie game in 2021. I don't think it's impossible at all, but I do think that we need to take a new approach compared to the old ways. You know, a few years ago, it was, you know, a lot harder to make a game. There weren't these public game engines available for free like they are today. And you just had a lot less competition. AAA studios pushing graphics further and further, so there was this gap in the market where you could create like pixel art games or retro-inspired games of any sort, and you would probably do well because there just wasn't a lot of that stuff. Now the problem is that every indie developer is making either a low-poly game or a pixel art game, and even bigger studios are capitalizing on this market as well, which means that now your direct competition is a studio of 30 people, and it's very hard to compete with that. It's just a different climate today, and I think that, as always, when you're a solo person and doing anything at all, you got to think about what can I offer that the big studios and nobody else can offer. So that's sort of the road I went down and the approach I took, and I think that it's probably the safest approach you can take right now. For me, it's all about reducing the risk of making the game. You want to be able to make money along the way while making the game.
Найдите работу на лучших условиях среди сотен тысяч вакансий на Авито. Например.
Game. So one way to do that is, of course, to involve an investor. The problem with that is that now you have someone who basically owns you and owns your game and is going to dictate what you do all the time. They will want you to be on a schedule. They will want you to release sooner than, and they'll probably also want you to hire additional people that will basically drain all the money they paid you so that you can make the game quicker. And then they'll want to change everything about your game that made it unique in the first place. So investors, for me, I just don't like it. It doesn't seem like it's worth it, to be honest. I'd rather just go work at a game studio at that point or something else. But, you know, it could be an option for you. But for me, it's not. So the other thing you could do, which I chose to do, is to open a YouTube channel. And what I really like about this is that it does a few things for you. First of all, it allows you a way to actually test the market for your game. You're putting your game out there, you're showing it, and if you can get people to watch you as you're making your game, well, you're going to get direct feedback whether people are actually interested in this game or not. And the second thing is that if you can get enough viewers on your channel, you're actually going to start making ad revenue with YouTube. And obviously, it's kind of hard to make ad revenue. You're going to have to output a lot of content, and believe me, it's a lot of work, and it's definitely going to set you on your game development journey. But I think that the positives kind of outweigh the negatives here, because not only will you have a chance to actually make money as you're making your game, but just the fact that you're actually marketing your game. You're getting people to wishlist your game, and you're getting people to spread awareness about your game, and people can see you actually developing your game, which I think is just so important. And don't forget that there are other ways to make money if you're making YouTube videos. Like, it's not just about the ad revenue. You can, for example, if you can make a quick course, let's say you spend 3-4 weeks making a course, sell $5-10, you know, in each video you make, you can say, hey, if you want to make games like me, consider taking my course and support me. Like, there are just so many things you can do along the way to sustain yourself. I'm not saying it's easy, but I think for me it beats spending 3 years in the dark, having no idea if you're going to sell your game or not, making no money while doing it. Also, something that happens when you make a YouTube video about your game is that people become interested in you as a person. Like, I watch devlogs a lot. Like, for example, I watch DevDuck, Blackthorn, Danny, all these other people, right? And you become interested in the person they release their game. I 50% buy the game because I want to play the game, but I also buy it because I feel a connection to the person who made the game. Whereas, like, a huge problem these days is that when you open your indie game studio with only you in it and you make your game, you try to, like, hide behind these logos of, like, ooh, Lame Fish Production, produced by this other thing, but really it's just you. And I think that it's a way to try to seem bigger than you are, and I think that that's part of the problem, which Bennett Foddy is really good about. Like, look at his game. He called this game Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy. It's literally his game, and you're playing the game with him almost. And I think that's a very interesting approach to indie games, because now you're offering something that the AAA studios cannot offer. So, but then maybe you're thinking, oh, well, but, you know, I don't like to be on camera, and, you know, it's not really my thing to make videos. Okay, but I think, you know, just try it, get over yourself. It's not that bad. You know, people are going to make fun of you. It's fine. You kind of get over that after a while. And you feel like it's very important what people think about you, but after a while you realize that nobody really cares. Everybody's so busy with their own lives that they rarely have time to even reflect on your life. So don't worry about that. Like, it's that you get used to that. And I think it's definitely a good practice to sort of put yourself out there and be vulnerable, because let's face it, when you make your game, you're gonna have to do the same thing. So if you're gonna be shy about it and you don't want to go to GDC events and stuff because you're shy, I mean, you're just making everything so much harder for yourself. So I think it's a good test. By making videos, you can sort of test the waters already. And I think my theory has always been, if I can't entice you to click on a thumbnail on YouTube, which is entirely free, I don't think I'll be able to convince you to actually give me money on the Steam store, if that makes sense. So it's a good practice, and it allows you to tweak as you go and get better at that stuff. So that's been my approach. And obviously there are other venues you could take. For example, you could do a Kickstarter. However, I don't recommend going for a Kickstarter until you've already acquired like a base audience who are going to pitch in on that Kickstarter, because starting from scratch on a Kickstarter with no awareness about you or your game or anything like that, like, you're just going to end up in the spam pile on Kickstarter, and it's probably not going to work. So if you want to go the Kickstarter route, which I definitely recommend if you can, you might want to do some stuff beforehand, like a YouTube channel or something like that. The other option you have, which is probably the best option, to be honest, along with your YouTube channel, because to be honest, making money on YouTube is pretty difficult. So what people are doing is to create a Patreon for people to be able to donate money to you as you're making the game. And then you can, for example, offer your patrons special perks, such as you release like maybe monthly builds of your game that your fans can then play and give you feedback, which is really good because you already have paying people who can already play your game and give you direct feedback. And then you have this loop where you can actually improve the game together. And I think everybody wins in that situation. Patreon is definitely the next step for me. I haven't set one up yet because I hate to ask for money without actually giving something back, so I want to have something that I can give back before I open that up. So far, what I've done is basically just ad revenue of YouTube, which obviously isn't really that much, but it definitely makes a difference. I did a sponsored video the other month. It helps. But also, don't forget about affiliate links. Like, for example, I took Ben Tristan's courses on Udemy to learn game development, and I started from scratch there. I had no idea how to make games, and that basically taught me enough to make games. So that's something that I really wholeheartedly recommend to people who also want to learn to make games. Now, it just so happens that Udemy has an affiliate program, which basically, if somebody clicks the link in my description and buys the course, I get a small commission, which also really helps out. Like, it's not a lot, but all these streams together combine.
Web publishing is a tough business. You're always juggling between creating content, growing traffic, and turning a profit. It can become overwhelming. That's why we built AdPushUp. AdPushUp is a revenue optimization platform that can help you grow your revenue by using ad layout testing, header bidding, ad block monetization, new ad formats, and bid price optimization. We will increase demand for your website by connecting you to
for, you know, a basic income, and it'll allow you to actually develop a game while making money doing it, and you don't have that pressure that it has to succeed. By the way, if you're interested in making games just like I did, I recommend checking out Ben's course. Links in the description. If you do click and buy, then I get a small commission, which allows me to continue developing my game. You get the same product, you get the same price, but I can also continue developing my game. Everybody's happy and it's a fair trade, see? And this is something that you can do as well. And so then your next question might be, well, sure, but you have a YouTube channel and you have 50,000 subs. By the way, we reached 50,000 subscribers. Isn't that amazing? It's incredible. Thank you so much. But anyways, that's not what this video is about. You might be thinking it's very hard to grow a YouTube channel, and that's true. So I definitely think that you gotta put a lot of effort into your videos, and you gotta make sure that your game stands out, make sure your thumbnails stand out. But I mean, this is all kind of this. You're not gonna sell your game on Steam either. So that's kind of my point. Like, if you can't get people to click a link on YouTube for free, you're not gonna be able to sell it for money either. So just think about that. So for me, I really like this model because it allows me to test the water, I mean, week one on the game. It also allows me to develop the games with you guys, which I mean, Bunch a Bunch would not be where it is today for you guys and your input. So I value that so much. We have a Discord community where you're all very engaged and giving me ideas, and I read them all, and it's actually been a really great experience. So if you're thinking about making a video game, I highly recommend this. I know you might be camera shy and stuff, but you don't even have to show yourself. Many developers just show, you know, footage of the game and then do a voiceover on top. And I think that's totally fine. So don't even worry about that. Now, I know what you guys are thinking, that this is just a filler episode. And if you're thinking that, then, well, you're right. It is. But I'm working on the game and I'm making progress. But I don't feel like I have enough progress to justify a devlog. So I figured we'll just take this opportunity to talk about something interesting instead. Money. And we're not working on the game, and I'm making progress, but I don't feel like I have enough progress to justify a devlog, so I figured we'll just take this opportunity to talk about something interesting instead. Money. And we're not going to complain once. Seriously, if I see complaints in the comments, I'm going to start making Minecraft filler episodes instead. Or even worse, meme review. So obviously I'm not saying that these are the only ways you can make money, but this is my current approach, and it's actually working for me, which is why I thought it could be helpful to you to learn about this. Anyways, if you guys want further tips on the topic, we can talk about that. Just leave suggestions in the comments. I don't know what you guys want to learn, but I don't know. Was this even helpful? I'm not sure. The new devlog is going to come soon. You're gonna implode when the next one drops. I've got, like, this new one is going to be like the devlog of the century. Now, if you're in quarantine and you're bored and you want to get a little bit of excitement, I highly recommend following my Instagram, where we have adrenaline-fueled content every day. Like yesterday, we went to a waterfall. Really exciting stuff, except Toby fell in. Don't worry, he's fine. I pulled him out. Okay, guys, don't forget about that Google algorithm juice. You know what to do. Hit subscribe, hit like, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Скажите, пожалуйста, часто ли у вас бывает ощущение тупика в жизни? Когда вы, что бы вы ни делали, результатов, почему-то все равно нету. Что бьетесь как рыба об лед, результатов...
In life, you can do one of two things. You can either work hard to fulfill your dream, or you can work really hard to fulfill someone else's dream. About 6 first devlog of a physics-based boxing game I'm making. I had no idea what I was doing. All I knew was that I wanted to make a video game and I wanted to make YouTube videos about it. I had a great job that paid really well. I was working in the movie industry making visual effects for movies. Big movies. You've most likely seen several of the movies I've worked on. Last week, I gave it all up. That might seem strange. Let me explain. I'm going to tell you about the most important job I ever had in my life that taught me everything I needed to know in life. This is the...
Что я тебе могу сказать? Учащее. Нет, ну нет, ну